As our historian, the position does require a lot of your time, attention, and deadlines, especially when working with other directors. How do you plan on balancing your time well as a student and a board member, while also communicating to your fellow directors of your own timeline so you can produce content to your standards?
Yeah. So I haven't told much people about this, but I used to be a nursing major. I switched majors recently, so I have a lot of time on my hands. I'm graduating, I'm taking 12 credits each semester going on. That doesn't negate the fact that, credits equal a lot of time. But I plan on focusing on just doing as much as I can for the community. So after I do everything that I need to do, I will go on and focus on Kasama after. And I believe that focusing on communication and streamlining communication is very important. I'm a very good texter. I don't know if anybody notices, but I will text immediately right after somebody sends me a text. So if anybody needs something, I'm always there at their disposal. If they need me for a quick project, literally last minute, I'm right up there and just want to go over and help them out as much as possible.
How would you ensure all the members are represented in the documentation, not just the most visible ones?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. How would you ensure that all members are represented in the documentation, not just the most visible ones in the community?
Of course. I want to just make everything available to everybody. And I want to also maybe even scout people who might not think of this space as something as creative. So if somebody takes a lot of pictures of themselves, post on Instagram, and just be like, hey, you would be really good for this photo shoot that I'm thinking of, and just kind of opening up the world of possibilities to these new prospective members, maybe people who even aren't into Samahan, and try to maybe introduce them to the space, and open it up to people to create. And as for people who aren't in this space or who aren't as vocal, I was one of those people. So I feel like just reaching out and try to kind of streamline those connections through people like eBoard or through people that are in the community but aren't really part of it. Kind of just talking to them more. Kind of be like, I haven't seen you in these pictures. Do you want picture takers? So it's just kind of just opening up for people.
This is a question that was submitted to us on behalf of someone else, but it says, media team is a great way to not only allow Kasamas to express their creativity, but also to provide a community that they feel they belong in. Can you give one example of a meaningful experience you've had on media team, if you know, and how you will use that to establish and nurture a safe space for future Kasamas?
For sure. The first one that comes to my mind was our first GBM jam, or for our the 2022 year, 2022-2023. I came in with a Biba Doobie hoodie right after the concert, and Carlene handed me a camera and said, "Go take pictures." So I did, and I really enjoyed it. I just remember seeing so many amazing performances, but it was kind of hard to remember most of the performances because I had a camera in my hand, but looking at the pictures on the Flickr right after the fact made me realize in that moment that I was there and that everything that was happening was there. And it just made me relive those moments after looking back at the Flickr, and I'm just being part of that experience kind of made me feel warm inside. I felt happy that I got to experience it.
While being our historian, you come up with a lot of different creative ideas, whether it be by yourself or with media team. Granted, a lot of your work may be ideas you come up with alone. How do you plan on handling creative burnout, and what do you go back to when you need to support yourself and when ideas do run dry?
Yeah. So this goes back to being back to media team. I want to hone everybody else's skills and focus on everybody's strengths, but also leaning on everybody when in times of weakness, because we're all human. So it's hard to be perfectly creative at every single time, every single second of the day. So, which is why I want to give more leeway, because of course I have my creative ideas, but I want everybody to be able to voice their concerns or voice their ideas to me. And I don't want to be a person that is kind of spearheading a project more so. I want to be the person that helps that project grow. I want that project to be something that I could put I don't need to put my name to, I could put media's team to, and just put Kasamahan's name to. So thinking of that, I kind of just want to make it more of a community-based project instead of an individual project. And I feel like that's what I would focus on.
As we've discussed, Ourstorian is full of opportunities for creativity and expressing yourself, but it is also a position that requires a lot of tedious technical work. How do you plan to manage this workload over the course of the year to ensure photos are distributed in a timely manner or videos are done, while also being able to express yourself creatively?
Of course. Just making sure that, because obviously there are multiple cameras at the event, I had this idea of like naming the cameras. Like I was gonna name them like 3 of them like the Powerpuff Girls, so we have like Bubbles, Blossom, and Buttercup have that whole event, and then we have like, I don't know, like the red Power Rangers like go for each event, and depending on the size of the event, we have a larger group of people and larger group of cameras on at side, and we know which cameras to upload each video to, and we know which people took these videos because we have them assigned to these cameras. But just keeping a really large scale of organization so the tedious work isn't as tedious as it needs to be. Because if we complicate the problem more, then we're not going to get anywhere. And I wanted to streamline deadlines to all the media team knowing when exact deadlines are. Also just like having fun with it. You know, just like making sure that everybody's in that moment, making that moment happen, and just capturing that moment as much as we can. Yeah.
You are working with like a lot of people, not only like media team, but also board members as well. How will you collab with your other directors? Because Ourstorian does have a lot of like passion projects and you do a lot of things on your own. How will you work with others on board as well?
Yeah, so I put this a little bit in my platform, but I really wanted to make every single eBoard related event, like PAM, PCN, Kate, very, very personalized specifically to that eBoard director. So for Kate, if somebody wants a more low-key, like classy, like 1980s Hollywood theme for their whole like shoots or anything, then we give it. We make it happen as best as we can and to their liking, and if they don't like it, we change it and we do it again. And I know that's time consuming, but I just want to emphasize that that person's getting exactly what they want. And I just want everybody to have their own thought. I want to be that vessel of creative thinking. I want to be able to execute their designs to the best of our ability, and I want to be able to work alongside eBoard to strengthen their, I guess, strengths.
One more question.
As Ourstorian, you have the privilege of having creative freedom and the chance of telling these stories to Kasamahan. What are some ideas that you're excited to achieve or accomplish?
So I'm really passionate about the magazine. I really, really want to do that because I feel like we have a lot of beautiful people here. And I also really want to focus on the individual, because without the individual, without I, we can't have our. So I want to be able to try to focus on individual stories and try to branch off of that a little bit more. I also wanted to kind of make a prospective organization for fan lines, so we could have some select photos for each fan line so that when Kate season happens, we could have people look into those folders and see how like each fan line is and kind of give an introduction to each fan line through pictures. And the DigiCam Spotlight, that's for seniors, that's specifically to highlight seniors and their journeys through the university, whether they entered their second year, their first year, their transfers, and yeah. And I have more ideas, but I feel like that's up to the media team and the leaders and the community, because I want to execute their ideas first and foremost before mine.